Turn on.
I use this Arizona trail mix, the stuff you bought on the way.
All right.
It's pretty good.
We're going. Here it goes. Oh! Didn't like that. I pissed it off. Access lock, of course. It was too mad at me. Too much weight. How can I adjust the weight on this thing? Oh, that's what I screwed up. There we go. There we go. Now it's happier. Why is he going that way? This way. That way? This way. Go one of the ways. Just do it differently than you're doing. I'm having serious camera issues here. This is not fucking working. This is supposed to go like that. Damn you, camera. That's not doing it. This thing not even on? Oh. There we go. That's what's going on. Now we got it. Hit a button. There we go.
Did you see Startup yet?
No.
You gotta see that now. That's a good one. It's about a guy and a girl that she's really smart. Comes from a poor family, but she designed a new coin better than Bitcoin. Then the mafia got involved. It turned out to be pretty good.
That sounds good. Ah! Timber! Alright. So my pizza stream. I'm gonna make pizza today, pizza crust at least.
But you did see Pinky Blinders, right?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Oh my
Oh,
God.
I told you I don't watch stuff yet.
Pinky Blinders is a match.
Yeah. I don't have time to watch a lot of stuff. Teresa and I watch like the shows, and then that's it. And then we go to bed. Or she goes to bed, and then I go back to work. Not a whole lot of time to do stuff like that. I don't watch commercials. I don't watch movies very often. I love watching movies often. I miss going to the theater. That's what I want to do. I miss going to the theater.
Well, Pinky Blinders and Queen of the South. Those are two you guys.
Queen of the South? Okay.
Yeah.
Oops. Right. Fire this bitch out.
volume is where again? On the side, right?
On the white little one on the side.
All right, there we go. Now we got it going. Where do I stand on pineapple? I love pineapple on pizzas, not gonna lie.
You know, you like it too.
Yeah, I like pineapple on pizza. Unfortunately, this camera is too zoomed in. Let's see, I can get it higher. Move this out.
Volume is not working.
On the white one, baby?
Yeah.
On the side?
Is that better? All right, I got multiple screens in here now. There we go. I think that'll work. I don't know who that is you're talking about, but anyways. So earlier I talked about how we had a pizza restaurant growing up, and it made me kind of a pizza snob and all that. So I always want to make good pizza, and I'm really picky about where I go. Like, you will never catch me eating Pizza Hut, so I think that shit is trash. And we had sourdough pizza crust. I really like that. Not enough people do that, I think, because it's difficult as shit to do. But I found this yeast that they claim is a sourdough yeast, and so I'm going to try it today. But I'm also going to do regular yeast with regular crust. I'm going to try both because I want to see how good this is. Because if I can really make something that tastes like a sourdough crust with this dry yeast, then that's a win. I've long wanted to do a food truck, Domination Burger Station, and sourdough pizza is what I've wanted to do for a while, actually. A lot of people say that my burgers are the bomb. I work really hard on my burgers too. So if you've never had a Dom burger, well, you haven't lived. I put a lot of stuff in the meat in my burgers, a lot of seasonings and stuff like that. So today, this is mostly just gonna be crust, because the crust has to rise, or the dough has to rise for like an hour or so before it's ready to make a pizza, and I gotta work on the car. So we're gonna do the dough first. The dough's pretty easy. There's a couple ways you can do it. You can either proof your yeast by mixing it with water and letting it foam up and all that stuff for a while, or you can mix it in dry with the ingredients, and then let it consume the sugars and the flour and whatever sugar you put in there, like brown sugar or whatever, as well. That's another way you can do it. I'm gonna do it that way because that's a new way for me. I did it for the first time last time I did the pizzas, and I really liked it. I like the way the pizza came out. I'm still trying to get, well, I think I got the crust like perfect texture. The issue is I'm having a hard time spreading it, you know, rolling it out, stretching it. Actually, it's called stretching the dough. And so I actually watched some videos on dough stretching so that hopefully I can get it stretched out and get it thinner on the bottom with a nice fat edge. Right now my pizza crust is like this thick all through the middle, and then I got a big edge. I want thinner in the middle and then the big crust on the end. So, but this is the crust action. So if you're proofing your yeast, you usually mix the yeast with water that's around 110 or so degrees, and then let it sit for 5 minutes or so while it foams up. But this stuff and the other stuff you can do without doing that. It takes the dough a little longer to rise, but I kind of prefer it that way. So like if you proof the yeast, they say dissolve and pack it with a quarter cup of warm liquid, 110, 115 degrees. Add some sugar, wait for foam to double in volume. Or blend with dry ingredients, and that's what we're doing here. But when you add water to the dry ingredients, you got to use a much hotter water, like 140 degrees or so, because the other material in there, the other dry ingredients, are going to absorb some of that heat and take the energy out, and the yeast needs the energy. And then after you get the dough mixed, the yeast has to have time to really come alive and start to digest the glutens in the bread and everything. So you need to store it covered away from sunlight, because sunlight will hurt it, but it's also good for it to be in a warm area. And so I'm gonna put it outside in our breezeway where it's like 85 degrees in there versus 70 in the house, and that'll make it rise quicker and do all this stuff faster. The dough ball when you're done is about this big, but you put it in a bowl big enough for it to rise, and when it rises, it will double or triple in size. Most of it in there is just air, and if you call it punch it down, where you punch it down, knock it down. But if you peel it apart and look at it, you see it's just this stringy. It looks almost like a neural network with the texture of it. It's actually really cool. I dig it. Type 00 flour. I don't have double knot flour. I have bread flour today. Somewhere. We want some bread flour. I want to try that today. It's got a slightly higher gluten content than regular flour. But you can use, unbleached, regular unbleached flour, all-purpose flour. That works really good too. But today I'm going for a little more of the gluten action. So I'll be using some brown sugar in it. A lot of people don't use brown sugar in their doughs, but a good tablespoon of brown sugar mixed in there will really help with the kind of the chewiness, I would say. And it's not here it is. I knew I had to start with a new look. So I got some unbleached bread flour. Virgin olive oil, a little bit of that in there goes a long way. Brown sugar. I use this light brown sugar here, not the dark brown. It's really good. Salt. Salt's one of those things that they always tell you, use a quarter teaspoon or whatever. But if you use like 3 times that amount, you can often get really good results as well. So I'll be using more than the recipe called for. I usually use, like I said, like 3/4 of it, like the door here, right as I'm going in my thing. Also, sometimes I'll add a little garlic and Italian seasoning into the crust itself. So the garlic powder, little Italian seasoning in there. That helps give the crust a little flavor while you're doing it too. Anything else I'm forgetting? Nope, that's it. And then we'll use cornmeal when we put it in the pan. Now I'm not using a stone. I have a cast iron pizza pan. It's not as good as a stone, but it still works really good. And I can never find it. I was looking for it. Here it is. Ugh. I use this guy, but it's a big hunk of steel. I mean, the whole purpose of the stone, anyways, is to hold a lot of heat and energy in the stone. And this does essentially the same thing. Just like ID, almost as good. All right, so the yeast is in here. I need to add the salt. I need to do olive oil. This much salt already. They usually say half a teaspoon. I usually double what they say in that. Because it slows the yeast down a little bit. There's something about the way it helps to, I want to say, more homogenize the reaction through the dough. It's really nice. I'm going to do a little bit of brown sugar. Tablespoon. Do olive oil. They always say like 2 teaspoons or whatever. That's not enough. I do a tablespoon. Sometimes more. Depends on how much I'm making. And it's hard to go wrong with olive oil. In the end, you're going to use about 3.5 cups of flour. But when you start the mixing process, if you have that much flour in there, it's a really big pain in the ass. Now you start at around 1.5 to 2 cups. This is the initial mixing point. But I'm also going to do a little hand mixing because I want the yeast to be better distributed in the flour and the other dry goods before I add the water. Because when I add the water, I'm going to add it on top. So I'm going to use a little whisk. This is not the traditional way either, but it's something that I do that I like. With a whisk, mix it all up a little bit. Get the yeast in there, distribute it inside the flour. The only wetness in here is olive oil, and that's pretty much gone. It's in the bottom anyways. Alright, so I need hot water, so let me do that. Actually, I'm going to use this kettle here. I'm going to heat some water in it. Get it going. This thing's so much faster at making water than my water heater is. Again, because of the volume of flour that I put in there being so high, and I'm putting the yeast in there immediately, you got to use hotter water around 140, 150 degree range. So I'm not going to boil that water. I'm just going to get the kettle to get it really hot. And then if it starts to steam too much, I'm going to use that in a second. Then I'll check it with the thermometer. Just make sure. Don't want to go too hot. You'll kill the yeast. Go too cold and it won't wake up. Thermometer. And a measuring cup. And the water, I believe, is 1.5 cups. I forget what it is. 1 cup. 1 cup. Now, if you look around my kitchen, you can see that I don't have trim around my door for the pantry, and at the top of there, pantry, and some other things. So when that wood price comes down, I'll finish that. But right now I have one door. I think one door in the house is trimmed. Interior door, not the side door is trimmed, but the bedroom-wise, none of them have any casing around them besides the one that just holds the door itself. I got a stack of some wood, but not enough to do all of it. So we're actually going to do another door probably tomorrow. And then just wait. Lumber prices to drop. So right now I'm just waiting for the water to get hot enough. Should have started the water first, really, so I could have the water immediately. Alright, so I got a cup of water here. So I thought it was too hot. It's too hot. Go stay under 140, not D140, under 140. There we go. All right, 135. I'll close this sucker, stick it on 2. Start pouring in water. Right where I want it. Let me get a spatula, because I often need to scrape some bread off the, or some dough off the side of the mixer bowl in the initial phase, some flour that is. First time with this flour, and I can already tell that it's different. It's not grabbing flour off the side of the bowl as good as the other stuff does. It's clinging to the hook more and not letting it swing out. So we have to use a slightly higher speed to get a little more centrifugal force on it. There it goes. I'll slow right down again. So you want the dough to be a little tacky, but you want to also clean the side of the bowl. You see here it's sticking. Right? And that's because we started with too little flour. Well, we started with less flour than we're going to be finally, right? And so before, at the end of the process, we're going to be around 3.5 cups, and we only put 2 in. But you got to start a little low, otherwise it doesn't grab right. So now we're going to add some more. And we'll start cleaning the side of the bowl again. So now we're at 2.5. Like I said, we're going to be around 3 before it's all done. Well, with normal conventional flour, we're usually around 3 before it's all done. But like I said, it's my first time using this flour, so I'm not sure what's going to happen. I probably made a bad call in using a different flour and a different yeast at the same time. It's not the best idea. Just like in airplanes, I'm part of that engine building. Oh, that's the other thing too, right? I mentioned earlier in the stream, or the other stream this morning, or this afternoon, that I had a lot of stuff going on. Well, I was also part of a team that built an aircraft engine from freaking scratch. And then other part of the team was doing the airplane from scratch. Well, you don't fly them together. You don't test a new airframe and a new engine at the same time. You test a new airframe with a proven engine, and you test a new engine with a proven airframe. So I guess in that same regard, I probably shouldn't have used a different yeast and a different flour, because really, if you were to compare a baking recipe of bread to an airplane, the flour would be the airframe and the yeast would be the engine. I'm such a nerd, I even talk about science while I'm cooking, huh? Alright, so we're getting close now. We're starting to see it grab the stuff on the side of the bowl. It's not gooey and stringy like it was before. It's a little granulated at the bottom. That happens sometimes. And if it gets too much for too long, you can clean the dough hook off. and then kind of bring it down the bottom again and let it all bunch up. You don't want to mix it for too long either. You don't want to beat the bread into submission for too long. Usually it's probably about 6 minutes of total kneading time, you know, and done in stages. So I'm going to pull this back, and I'm going to pull the hook down, the dough off the hook, just stick it back in the bottom. This is a lot harder to do one-handed because I can't hold the thing up. I'm going to get my this little guy. Just help it get in there. Okay, and then hopefully I only need to do this for like another minute or so. I don't want to do it too long. But I still need the right consistency. But it's this time, I might add a little garlic powder to it. A little garlic, a little bread. A little bit of seasoning too. I might need to add a tiny bit more water. Looking like I might. But at this stage, by a tiny bit of water, we're talking like tablespoon kind of quantities of water. Nothing, nothing like a quarter cup, just tiny little bit. A splash of water in there. When you're near that point, like, you get a gooey mess really quick if you get too hand with the water. I'll have to sink on though. I got 2 bowls here. Just like me, one's bigger than the other. There we go. Now we're talking. See how it's cleaning the bowl now? The bowl's starting to get clean as the dough hits it. It means we're just the right amount of water in the dough. Getting a more uniform dough ball. Yeah, we nailed it there. Look at that. So water content's looking really good here. And that's probably plenty of time. All right. So, I need to transfer this to a bowl. So I need to be a big enough bowl, and then we're going to start the second batch. So this guy here is a pretty big bowl, but often isn't big enough. If this one rises as much as I anticipate it rising, I'm going to need this guy, this big ass bowl. The second one's going to have to go in that other bowl because that's all I got. So, turn this off, unlock it. Oh, I already had unlocked. Whoops. There we go. Need to clean this dough off here. Off the hook. Looks like some truck nuts right there, doesn't it? All right. Feels pretty good. All right, what I forgot to do is you got to powder the bowl a little bit. You should grease it a little bit too. By greasing the bowl and powdering the bowl, you put a little layer on top of grease as you take the dough ball and you put it in the bowl. You want a little bit of grease on the bowl, and then you want to turn it over so that a greased section is kind of on top. The grease on top helps keep it from becoming dry because that's the part that's going to be exposed to the air the most. So you just want a little bit of grease on top of it. Typically you can use shortening or butter or whatever. I prefer shortening, so I'm going to grab that. I need to get my other hand free though. Do that. Put this down. All right, knock this flour out of here. I just use a paper towel. to apply the grease. That's the way I do it. I don't know how people do it. I just get a paper towel and fold it little spots. Get a little shortening on there. Move it up. Alright, a little extra on the bottom right there. Because this guy, that feels good. It's got a good consistency. Yeah. You can feel the firmness, but it's not sticking to my fingers, like my hand comes off clean, right? So it's a good firm consistency, but it also doesn't stretch and tear, or it doesn't tear really easy, it stretches easy. So I like that. So, put it in a bowl, put it on there, get some of the grease on top of it, turn it over. And then I cover it with a little plastic wrap. I don't seal it completely, I just want it to be free from a wind. And I'm going to cover it with paper towel also, or kitchen towel also, to keep it free from sunlight. Like I said, I don't seal it completely. I just want a little edge on it. A little bit of air can come in and escape from there. And I'll just throw a towel over like this. And I'm going to stick it in my warm breezeway. Hopefully you guys can see that. Yes. Alright, now this next one we're going to do the traditional proofing way with the yeast, using just one packet. You can get it in packets, you can get it in jars. I have this stuff, you can get it in a jar. It's the same stuff, right? Well, not technically it's slightly different, but you can either measure it out by teaspoons or just get a fixed size. This is super handy, but it's like 3 times more expensive. So in this one, we're going to proof the yeast beforehand. It means we're going to activate it basically. We're going to activate it. It's going to get really, really excited with the sugars that we give it and the warmth. And it's going to start to foam up. It's supposed to foam up. I don't know. Quarter cup, 110 degrees. I don't think that's hot enough. Now most water heaters have no problem making 110 degree water. So you can get that out of the faucet pretty easily. You can, but I can't. My water takes forever to get to my sink. I need to add one of those circulators or a instant water heater under the sink or something. Oh, there's only 6 better. There we go. All right. Now we got enough. Oopsie. Check the thermometer because I don't want to do wrong. I'm going to add sugar to it too. You need to give it something to eat. You yeast need something to eat to activate. So I'm doing sugar. How much do they want me to add? Oh, that much. Cool. It's brown, so I'm putting a little more. You're not supposed to beat the hell out of it or anything either. I'm just trying to scrape it off the edge of the bowl. A little light stirring. And say you wait a few minutes for it to start foaming. So since I'm waiting anyways, I'm gonna get my other stuff ready that I failed to get ready last time. Like greasing this bowl. I'm gonna do that first. Like salt bait off the shoulder. Get all over the stove. Flour exploded. I'm gonna blame it on that. The salt bait didn't work. All right. So we're starting to get some bubbles, but it's supposed to almost double in size in foam. And if you look really close, you can see around the edges, this foam is starting to build up. Yeah. Whoops. Found it like that. Let me readjust my thing, apparently. There we go. There it goes. It doesn't like the big angle, so it's trying to pick it up. I think the phone's building though. Missed it all the action. I don't know if you can see or not, but it's getting a lot foamier. And I don't see water anymore, I just see foam. It's actually starting to bulge in the center. So it tells me the yeast is really active. Now, technically, you could add stuff to it now. The longer you let it go, as long as it's gaining activity, the faster the dough is going to rise. Or you can do it while it's only semi-active, and it'll gain activity while it sits, while you're mixing it, and then it'll rise some more. And now it's becoming kind of thicker, a thicker paste even, with the foam and everything. So I'm going to start adding materials to it now. I think it's plenty for what I want to do with it. Oops. All right, perfect. So, I wanted more sugar. I wanted more than I had in there initially. A little more. Some flour. Don't forget the olive oil. Salt. I'm going to add the salt a little later, just so I don't dump it all over the yeast. Let's make it a little more flour here. I'll put the salt in. So 2 cups for starters. Then I'm going to do the salt. Not dumping it right on the yeast. And the rest of the water, which I'm still going to do at a warm temp. I already had a 1/4 cup in there, right? So I don't want to add another full cup, just a 1/4 or 3/4. All right, let's get in there. Cool. Got the same thing where it's just kind of clinging in the center. There we go, some flour fell down, that's handy. Next time I add some more flour. Starting to see the gooey center that I like. Some seasoning to it. As good as time as any. And, you know, whatever. I don't have a fixed volume that I put in there for garlic or seasoning. Looks like it's still have a little bit of flour to it. A little Spider-Man-y.
Give it a boost. Ooh, see, that's still really tacky. See this? Super tacky and sticky to the fingers. So that's too wet, which we knew already. I see how it's sticking to the fingers. That's just too wet. And you can see that, right? It's gooey at the bottom of the bowl here. It's not cleaning the sides of the bowl. So the gluey, stringy section in the middle. Probably about a quarter cup short is all it is. Yeah, we're getting there now. Overall, this is easy, right? The hardest part is stretching the dough to make pizza out of it. But this process is relatively easy. I'm just trying to get a feel for what it needs. It takes a few times to do that. Alright, the bottom is starting to irritate me. Let's scrape it off. Scrape it off and get it into the mix. There we go. If I touch it, it's not sticking my fingers now. Right? It's no longer sticking. I can actually use that to get the other dough off my finger. Part that stuck to it earlier. So it's getting a cleaning action now. So we're pretty much at the right ratio. Whoops, too far. Pinch of flour. And get it to pull that a little bit off there. Just a pinch. See it start to gather stuff on the bottom there. Just a little pinch means I'm close to super close to the concentration it needs to be. All right, very, very close. I mean, you could technically call this good, and then when you handle it, you just add flour as you're handling it. You know, put your flour in your hands, flour on the bowl. It's gonna pick up some flour. It's gonna suck up some. It's gonna remove some of the extra moisture and that kind of stuff. Or you can just do like I did, and add a few pinches to it and see it picking it up, so we know we're really close to our target. It's just pinches of flour too, you know. Teaspoon or less, but just a little bit reduces the overall moisture content or density or concentration. There we go. We're pretty much there. One little pinch, and I think we're gonna be there. Yep. Clean the bottom of the bowl. Everything is becoming one dough ball here. Cool. Turn her off. Check it out. I wish it locked up. A little wet up here. A little wet at the top. Flour's not getting up there very good. It's a little wet. So I'm going to pull that down and just run it for another 20 seconds. With it off the hook. Add a pinch of flour to it. Just another 20 seconds for all that gooey stuff up there. At the right speed. Cool. So I'm excited to see how much, if at all, the other dough has risen in the time it took me to make this other one. Sometimes if it's really, really active, it can rise a lot. The other one I don't think is going to be as active as this one. I think this one's going to rise faster due to the amount of proofing that I did on this one. I think that one's going to rise a lot. I think this one's going to rise a lot faster. It'll double in volume pretty quick. You'd be surprised. Unless you have one that's a slow starter, then it'll take like an hour or so. This one's still a little gooey. I'm not going to fuck with it on the mixer. I'm just going to do it in the bowl when I need it. Yeah, there was some moisture stuck in a pocket somewhere. This is quite a bit stickier than the last one. So I'll put some flour on there. Just swirl it and knead it. Put some flour in there. Feel it firming up, becoming less sticky. One hand in it. This is different, but hey, whatever. All right. Now we got the grease bowl already, so we're going to get it all nice and uniform. Put it in the grease bowl. Find the smooth side. I'll put that side down first. Bloop. Get some grease on that top. Flip it over. There we go. Now that won't dry out. Sometimes if you want, you can take a little olive oil. If you want, like there's a residue of olive oil on this, just put some olive oil on top. You can rub it on there or whatever, and that helps too to keep it from getting too dry on top. Neat little thing you can do. Let's cover this one and then see what the one outside looks like. If I get my phone to go up. There we go. All right, let me wash my hand off and get the plastic on this one. Yeah, I really want a research system here. But, you know, like, this is a manufactured home, so how much money do I really want to put into it? The lumber prices the way they are, pushing the value of the homes up, like, to replace this manufactured home, it's like almost $300,000 for a manufactured home to replace this place right now. That's how slow the market has gone. 2 years ago, it would have been about 130 to 140 to replace this home. So when I saw how it was going, I said, screw it. I redid the kitchen in this thing. Actually, we gutted it. We actually gutted this whole manufactured home. Full gut, subfloor replacement and everything. We did the subfloor, we did the carpet, flooring. We did a nice vinyl sheet in the kitchen and stuff. Looks like it's a hardwood, but it's not. And then I put an 8-pound carpet padding in the rest of the house. Double-sided, high-density 8-pound padding. Since the padding is what gives you most of the feel anyway, right? As far as the comfort when you're stepping on stuff. So I went with a really expensive double stain protection backed whatever shape 8-pound padding. It's really nice. And then a really inexpensive carpet that actually was still pretty good though, being expensive. But you know, when do I call it quits? When is it too much money into a manufactured home? So I like to add the recirculation thing, but I just don't know. You know, am I already there? I already spent too much. I got some industrial freezer though and fridge out here. I got a workbench. I actually gamed here the other night with my friends since I had no doors to the guest bedroom or the office. I was gaming on this bench right here that I made. Not super active. Got a little bit of rise. A little bit, not a lot. This one, however, I think is going to rise really fast. So I'm going to cover these both with the same towel. Yeah, I feel you, dude. I don't want to turn wrenches anymore or swing hammers anymore. And I honestly don't even want to turn wrenches that much anymore either. I just want to tune. But I want to tune cool shit. I've been working my wiring harness right here. Now, I mentioned earlier that I had a hard time with my wiring harness, so I have the old one and the new one, and going through the differences, trying to get this fucking M-Tron to work. I don't know. We'll see. Eventually I get it. Eventually. Need to clean my shit. So that's it for the next hour or so. I'm gonna go work on the Corvette and see if I can get my dad's car closer to completion. I know he'd appreciate that. Get my dad's car closer to completion and let the dough rise. So I just gotta clean the kitchen up first, and then I'm gonna do that. Oh. Anyways, any questions on making pizza dough? That's my recipe. That's how I do it. I started off with a recipe online, and then I modified it as I felt needed to get the result I wanted. And obviously I changed one of them today to see what happens. But the other one I did the way I normally do it. So we'll see my two pizza trucks come out like in a few hours. And I'll show some pizza later on. Thanks for stopping by. For the two people that are still here. The thing says 3, but one of them is me. My other laptop's set up so that I could watch the stream and everything while I was recording. So whoever you two are, thank you very much. Have a good evening, and I'll see you later.